Europe is coming to Africa as Africa is going to Europe. This is the situation that we are in today. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. For the subscribers, as always, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Today's video is something that I landed on and I wanted to share it with you guys as a person that is always encouraging my brothers and sisters to come into the continent. It can be to visit, it can be to know the people, it can be to see the culture, it can be to invest, it can be to stay. Like, I really want you guys to come into the continent and set up your roots. You didn't have the opportunity in the past, but I think now it is possible and we are able to do that together as a people. But in today's video, this is kind of crazy to me, okay, it's not really crazy, but I think it will be interesting to you. We have a white man who is telling his people to come to Africa and take on citizenship or actually get African passports. But yeah, guys, watch this clip, come back, and let's talk about it.
Well, me on my own, as an entrepreneur who just likes to see the result, got frustrated by all the paperwork. I was traveling all over the place. I had to order documents from the US. And I just decided, hey, is there some easier passport I can get? I said, well, yeah, there's this passport in the African country of the Comoros. But what's interesting about African passports, a lot of them, you can go to countries like Malaysia, for example, that you can go to. Singapore, actually, is very open. A number of African nationalities can. So African passports aren't going to be great for visa-free travel. There are only 2 of them, actually, out of all the, I think, 54 countries in Africa that can go to Europe's Schengen area. That's Mauritius and the Seychelles. If you're looking for a tax-friendly but not tax-free place to live, there's a chance if you live in Mauritius, you could get a passport in a matter of as little as a couple of years. So that's one place that might be on your radar if you're looking to relocate for taxes and get a second passport. And it's pretty unique second passport because, like, who's really worried about Mauritius? And so for me, for most Westerners, getting an African passport is a level of diversification. Maybe it should be your second passport. Maybe it should be your 4th passport. Maybe there's just something that you want to invest in Africa and you don't need a passport. Let's talk about a couple of reasons why you might want it. The first one is as a backup plan. One thing that I find interesting, because I watch news all over the world, is that a lot of African countries are tired of being told what to do by the West. If you look at parts of West Africa, their economy is somewhat controlled by what happens in France and what France wants to do. And they're tired of it. When you look deeper into the story of, why has Africa gotten more interested in working with China over the last, couple decades, it's because they say, when the Americans come, we get a lecture. When the Chinese come, we get a hospital. I think it's just a totally different approach with the way Africa is trying to go. Obviously, Africa as a continent is very diverse. And so some of those countries might become something better. Rwanda is noted as a clean, safe place. And there's a potential there. But as a backup plan, it wouldn't be the worst thing to have. Let's talk about investment opportunities. Nigeria's stock market this January is up about 40% in 1 month. There are investment opportunities, and sometimes that is easier when you are a citizen. We've worked with business owners from people who go down to Africa or people who are natively from Africa. It's just easier to start things. Now, in some countries, there is obviously more bureaucracy, but like once you open the ice cream parlor or the coffee shop, you can scale that very fast. I mean, I talked to guys, cement factories. I mean, just really simple stuff. They make huge returns. I've talked to a couple of people over the years, including a couple of friends, who've gotten local citizenships to be able to be on equal footing in the country in terms of doing business. One person even changed their name because they thought, hey, on the paperwork, I'll look like I'm a local. But if you wanted to buy real estate, land, for example, that's going to be easier to do as a citizen. Now, obviously, you're not a citizen of all of Africa. You're a citizen of that one country. However, you are seeing more efforts by the African Union to kind of bring, some unification there. And it's possible that it might be at some point like the European Union where, hey, EU citizens of other EU member states have more privileges in the other states. So, if you want to buy property in Austria, it's easier if you're Spanish than if you're Canadian, for example. Obviously, having an African passport, I mean, there's generally blocks. I think the Eastern African ones often have pretty good visa-free travel amongst each other. West Africa, they've got the Union ECOWAS, where again, there was talk recently about why are we, doing so much with the West. And so you're not going to be able to travel that many places. You might be opening up more opportunities within Africa. Do I see great visa-free travel on the horizon for these countries? No. I mean, I'm not saying go get a passport in the Congo, for example. But there are countries where it is maybe not known as being as much part of the African continent. And you could easily go and you could get a residence permit. You could just keep the passport in your back pocket and know that you have maybe future travel opportunities, future investment opportunities, and a backup plan. And so if you had a passport, would at some point in the future that open up other places to invest, to reside, etc., as you see more unification of these countries. So where can you go and get a passport in Africa? We have had a few clients that got citizenship in Sierra Leone, I think, if you can prove some kind of connection there. Some African countries are trying to be bigger at citizenship by descent. You had ancestors from there at some point. Cape Verde, Rwanda, Zambia, there have been citizenship offers in the past for people who've invested or moved their farm. South Africa is a place that maybe people are more familiar with, but there's a great creep towards more taxes and more chasing people down for taxes that I wouldn't want to be a part of. But I think Africa, for me, interesting continent to watch out.
As you see in the video, that is what he had to say. I don't want to repeat a lot of things that he said. It was very blunt that these people sit back, relax, see us fighting on social media, pulling our strings, pulling ourselves down as they are seeing the opportunities happening in the continent. And I do not want to come here and stop anybody from coming in the continent, because everybody that comes in the continent somehow or most times helps give African people employment. But I would really like if it was something that we did mostly or majority of the time as Black people. I see a lot of comments where people don't want me to call my brothers and sisters to come in the continent, be it the Caribbeans, the Black British, the Black Americans, the Black Asians, to come into the continent because that's your ancestry, that's your home. And I usually say this: Africa is for the African people and to those that feel they have the African ancestry. Every time I speak about these things, people get triggered, and I'm like, why would you be triggered if you don't feel like Africa is your home? You should stay where you belong. But then in this video, this white man is calling his people to come in the continent. And also what got to me is he talked about how there's German people that came to Namibia because of the ancestry they have within Namibia. That did sit right with me. How can you say as a German that you have ancestry, like you have some kind of descent in Namibia? How? What kind of ancestry do you carry in the continent? What, the one that came and took over people's lands? That's the one that you come and claim to easily get access to Africa? Is that where we've reached? I mean, I don't have the power to stop anybody from coming and investing in the continent. Your money in today's world is what leads you to go to every place. It's the reality of the world that we live in. Let's not sugarcoat things. The other thing I receive is people telling me to tell Africans to stop going to the West. But the thing is, I will never stop anybody from going wherever they want, be it Black Americans, Caribbeans, Black British, Africans, whites, or whatever. I cannot stop anybody from going anywhere. I can only talk about the things that I'm able to. And in this instance, I'm talking about how these people are willing to come in the continent and take on opportunities and be able to even want passports, to have that diversity, as this person was saying, as also a backup plan, which he said in case Europe, like we know America now is in the shambles somehow, Europe is also not really that amazing at the moment. So when I come and call my brothers and sisters to come in the continent, I do mean it. And every time African people keep seeing these people in Africa, they don't get to learn the truth of what they are or what intentions they carry. They are taking up more opportunities from you, who is just there complaining and not taking the steps that they are taking. Like I always talk about, every time we come on the internet and degrade ourselves and fight ourselves, and these people are working, they are seeing us, they watch every move that we take, and they don't come on the internet to talk about it, they just do the actions. These people are saying that if things go wrong in their countries, in their homelands, they have a backup plan, and that backup plan is Africa. We all know Africa is the rising continent at this point in time. If you are a Black person from the diaspora, your currency that you carry, be it dollar, euro, pound, or any currency that is bigger than the African continent, it is an advantage for you to come and do something in the continent. He talked about how people are coming in and starting small shops like stationaries, cement kind of factories. They are starting up certain businesses, and they are also associating with the locals and trying to learn the local kind of behaviors or ways. So if they're doing that and putting in the effort, and what we are only doing is coming on the internet and fight ourselves, we are really setting ourselves in the back and giving these people space for them to do better in the continent. We know China is coming in. Russia is bringing in your black Jesus in the picture because they need a piece of Africa. The Europeans or America does not want to leave Africa. The Arabs are coming in every single day. Guys, when I am in my country, Uganda, I see a lot of Arabs set up businesses and I get shocked. They know also that they are being kicked out from Africa, so they need to act now and find ways of setting themselves in the continent. Why aren't we doing the same thing? So when I see people telling me to not call my brothers and sisters to come in the continent, I'm like, you need to get blocked. And I always tell you guys, you don't have to be this rich millionaire to come into Africa. You can come and start small, come and tour, come and get to understand the people, come into any African country that you feel comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable in one country, try the other country. We working together and creating opportunities for us gives us more freedom. The more African people will see Black people in big positions, in big businesses, being entrepreneurs, it will create more confidence within us that we are able to work together and build our continent. But the more these people come in and set up businesses and be our bosses, we still stay as slaves in our continent, and it's just not okay. But also, I'm not saying that he gave bad information. It might have been for everybody, but when he speaks, like I say, his people listen to him more and they get to understand that, oh, that's a treasure and we need to be there. So I always share these kind of videos with you guys to get to see what is being hidden from you by the white medias. They always scare you on what is happening in the continent, but they are the majority of people that really fight to stay in the continent. I think this is a teaching lesson for us to understand, especially my Black people in the diaspora, that these people are playing you. They be telling you things otherwise, but they are doing things otherwise. They tell you how Africa is not safe, barbaric, how poor, how horrible, how shitty Africa is. But in the background of everything, they are the majority in the continent. Why do they stop you? Why do they say these things to you? It's because they know when you guys come and connect with the motherland and connect with us, we will no longer see them as worth. Like, guys, guys, if Africa was that horrible, I don't think these people would be getting on planes, more or less asking for passports from the continent. I think that would make sense if you think about it. Guys, that is it for me in the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.